All right, let's look quickly at the difference between absolute advantage and comparative advantage. Absolute advantage is when you have two producers making two goods, and the one that is absolutely best, or who is more efficient, who can make the most with a given amount of resources, they have absolute advantage. So looking here at this production information chart on the left, Spacely Sprockets and Cogswell Cogs are making widgets and grebes. Who has the absolute advantage in widgets? Well, Spacely can make 10 with this fixed amount of resources. Cogswell can only make 6. So clearly, Spacely has the absolute advantage in the production of widgets. Who has the absolute advantage in grebes? Well, Spacely can make 6 versus Cogswell's 4. So again, Spacely has the absolute advantage. Has the absolute advantage in the production of both things. That's not always the case, but it can be. Now, to get comparative advantage, we want to look at who has the comparatively lower opportunity cost. So we have to figure out what those are first. So let's figure out Spacely's cost first. We look at their two numbers, 10 and 6. And remember, let's pretend that's a fraction, and we're going to reduce it down to the lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator appears to be 2. So we're going to have a 3 here and a 5 here. So right away, we know their costs, opportunity cost of making widgets and grebes is going to be 5/3 and 3/5. Because opportunity cost of one producer, they're the reciprocals of each other for each thing. So when they get through making a widget, will they have made a whole grebe? Looks like they will not have, because they can make 10 grebes in the time it takes to make, 10 widgets in the time it takes to make 6 grebes. So they will not have made a whole grebe. Therefore, their cost of making widgets must be something less than 1, and it must be, therefore, the 3/5. All right, and their cost of making grebes, when they get through making a grebe, will they have made a whole widget? Well, yeah, that have made more than 1, and so obviously we put the reciprocal 5/3. They will have made 1 2/3 widgets. All right, Cogswell. Same thing. Looks like, again, 2 is the lowest common denominator. We put a 2 here, a 3 here. And as with Spacely, when they get through making a widget, they won't have made a whole grebe. So what they give up in grebes to make a widget must be something less than 1. It must therefore be 2/3. And we don't even have to look. We know that their cost of making grebes is going to be 3/2 a widget, or 1.5 widgets. The one that's more than 1. So now we can answer our question, who has comparative advantage in widgets? We look at the two widget numbers here, and it appears that Spacely's 3/5 is somewhat lower than Cogswell's 2/3, so Spacely has the comparative advantage. They have the lower opportunity cost. And who has the comparative advantage in grebes? Well, looks like Cogswell's 1.5 is less than Spacely's 1 2/3, so Cogswell has comparative advantage in grebes, and that makes sense. We could have we didn't have to even look at the numbers, because unlike with absolute advantage, when you have two producers, one will have the comparative advantage in one thing and one the other. It's always like that.